How's it going? It's Diddy Goops back again for another video. I think we're on episode number 81 of our series where we're playing 10-minute games against people in the pool. Here we go. We're going against KG Mugi 63, and I think this is Indonesia. Yep, we got it right. And yeah, we're gonna wait to see how this game goes. I'm gonna, I guess, play my moves, and I'll be walking through what I'm thinking. So it's a learning experience for you guys and for me too. But it looks like this guy just isn't showing up. So this might just be an auto abort game and we'll have to move on to another run. Oh, but there he goes. He shows up, plays e4, and we can jump into the French defense. He did waste a bit of time, but I'm sure that won't come back to bite him in the future. Knight f3, and it's an exchange French. He plays this move, bishop over here, which is very interesting. I'm just going to go ahead and develop my bishop. No worries. He castles. I'll go ahead and just develop this knight, just so I can castle as well. Nothing too complicated. Again, this is the French defense exchange variation. Exchange variation is known to be very drawish, and that's because look at this pawn structure. It is the exact same. Obviously, there's always going to be some chances of like making some sort of, I guess, difference, some sort of imbalance in the position, but oftentimes there just isn't. I'm going to go ahead and play c6 just to defend this pawn, and of course take away this square from his knight. We can plan to play something like knight d7, put our queen over here. Okay. Very cool. He actually jumped into this square immediately. e5. If I try to play something like d7, challenge this knight, he could play f4 and really lock this in. So then if I take, he's going to take with that pawn. And there's even a bit of a fork. But I think knight d7 is still the right move. Actually, if we play knight d7 and he takes, if we take with the queen, he's going to be taking this piece, and then we have isolated double pawn. So then we're going to be having to take back with this bishop, which isn't the greatest, but I'm not sure what else we can do here. So I'm still going to go for it. Yeah, I think I still have to go for it. But I'm expecting to play something like f4. He plays f4. Now if I play queen here, if he takes, then I have to take with the knight, which isn't the worst, which is not the worst at all. Actually, if I go queen c7, does he have g4? If I go back, then he's gonna be trapping my bishop. That would not be great. So I don't want to go back. But maybe then I just settle in over here. And I guess if he takes, then I take with the knight. Yeah, that seems to work out, I guess. But we're playing queen c7 as well, just to break this pin. Oh, there he goes. I guess, yeah, I'm gonna have to put this piece over here because that's the only move. If I go here as well, it's gonna get trapped. So don't want to get trapped. That is definitely true. I don't want to get trapped. And we've got a very cool looking bishop. If he takes, yeah, it's unfortunate, but our knight's going to take back, and it's not too bad, because now our knight is actually very strong. So I would actually welcome that. I would definitely welcome that. But yeah, let's see how this game goes. Thinking about other things, he did, by pushing these pawns, he does open up his king a little bit. We're trying to see if this actually makes a bit of a difference. Bishop over here. Okay. That does do a bit of a thing because now if we take over, if he does take, let's say it's his move again, and then we take with our knight, he's going to be taking this, and we have a pawn on e4, and it's a bit hard to control. If we take this knight with our knight, he's going to be taking with this f pawn, and then we're going to get forked, so that just doesn't work. If we take with the bishop, he could still take with the f pawn, and now I'm not even sure where this knight's going to go. I don't want him to go to e8 because this pawn is controlling really nice squares, and my knight can't really come out either. Am I forced to take over here? That would be a bit annoying, but that might be something. If we go queen b6, attacking this pawn and this pawn, Definitely interesting. If we go queen b6 and he takes with a knight, I can go ahead give him a check right here, and then after he takes back, or after he moves his king, I can take with the knight, and then he can take with the bishop. I take over here, but if he takes with the bishop first, it's a bit different. Maybe I take over here, and I'm attacking this knight. I think I'm gonna try it out. Because if I can attack this knight, then all of a sudden he has to move out, maybe. And then when I attack him again, he's gonna have to figure out where exactly this knight's going to go. Maybe he'll just end up playing c6. Okay, he goes back over here. Very interesting. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take here, or do I take this pawn? If I take this pawn, he has this rook move. I take over here, he takes over here. And it's not too great because of things. I'm thinking about taking here actually, because this pawn is dropping. Let's take this bishop. I think if I take over here with this piece, he can't take with this pawn because of this pin. So he's forced to take with this pawn. And then we can take this pawn over here. And now we have two attackers on this pawn. And he can't take because of this. So I think that this is something. He definitely has things, like just moving the king over. Of course. If we play f6 right here, I feel like that's a very nice move. Queen goes here, I take over here. And if he takes here, then I guess I have to save this knight. Or maybe just queen back. I'm going to try it out. This is definitely interesting. Queen to f5 feels like a really nice move for him, but after I take over here, I'm attacking his queen, so he has to choose if he wants to, which knight he wants to take. Otherwise, he's kind of just like down on material. If he just takes the pawn, then I think I'm happy. I can maybe just deliver him a check like this, and then when he comes out, then I just put my knight over here. So if he does play queen f5, we take over here, and if he takes this knight, it's definitely unfortunate, but um, okay, he takes over there. That's fine. I think I'll go ahead and take this way. If I take here and he puts this move though, not sure where this knight is going actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and take with this knight. I think that keeps it safe, and I have the ability to jump into the square with this knight. Yeah, that's fine. I think this is fine. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm attacking this bishop as well, threatening this, whatever this is, if there's a threat with this thing. It's definitely feels like a nice move to play. I can say that for sure. We are up a pawn, but yeah, I don't know how long that's gonna last. It's a very shaky game. He plays this move. Very cool. I'm going to go ahead and just take this bishop, though. Yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do. It's very scary that he has all this stuff, but I think we can hold it down. We could just put this right here again. He doesn't want to move this knight because we have this thing still. Do we have this move? Is there a pin here? He just plays this move. Oh, it's so scary. I think I'm going to go for... Well, I have time to think. I have time to think, so I should use my time to think. If I go g5, what moves does he have? If he goes here, I'll just go ahead and... Oh, I can't take this. But I guess I can just move... No, I can just take his rook. Queen takes. And then I move my piece over. d4, he doesn't want to move his knight anywhere else because then I have check. Let's go for it. This is, yeah. It's unfortunate he dropped his bishop. Definitely gives me an edge. Okay, he brought his knight over here. That does seem to work, actually. We could trade it off. Trade this off? Yeah. I'll go ahead and take this pawn over here with my queen. That's not a problem. I can put my queen on. Yeah, just the square works as well. The square is nice. It just adds more protection to everything. He's not infiltrating any of these squares with his queen. I'm bringing my rook in right here. Plays this move. I'm just going to go ahead and move my queen over. We still have full defense, and I'm threatening this move right now. Where I would just be able to trade off my queen. He goes over here, and game will go on for sure. But how much longer? Not sure. That's a very cool move. I'm going to go ahead and play knight f2 and basically mate, but he just has the ability to take, and I think he's actually just giving up his pieces. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I think he's just giving up his pieces. He's given up. Surprised he's not resigning, though. Oh, there it is. There's the resignation. Tough game for my opponent. Very sad. But still says that we had 3 mistakes, so we got to check those out. Going into the analysis. Oh, and this time it actually worked. Wow, very cool. The engine's already there. The board is already there. We can see definitely that our opponent gave us an edge in the middle somewhere, and then all of a sudden we blundered it back, but we got it back, which is very lucky on our side. It says that we had 2 misses, and you do not want to make any misses because, I mean, you want to win the game when you can, right? Anyways, we're 20-45 right now, which is really insane. I think we're on like a 5 or 6 win streak, which is just amazing. But hopping into the French defense, exchange variation, and this is all developing moves, and really you can do whatever you want. All of this is fine. Knight b to d7 is also fine. He plays f4, and accuracy queen c7 is a bit of a mistake. Why is this a mistake? Clicking show moves, he'd play that, and I guess this bishop is in a bit of a weird spot, and he really is opening up this king side. Actually, this is going way too fast to the point where I can't really follow. So I'm just gonna hold up. Wait a minute. Best move actually was queen b6, and that actually kind of makes sense because we did end up playing queen b6 ourselves in the future. Instead of going c7 to b6, why not just play this immediately, right? We're attacking that pawn, and then we're also, of course, thinking about putting this knight over here. And when we do put this knight, let's say he plays b6, and we do put this knight over here. Maybe this is not the best move. Let's just say he plays rook b1, and then we play this knight over here, and he tries this move. Doesn't really work because we just have this check. Pawn is dropped. In fact, we're actually completely winning, which is very cool. But yeah, in that case, he would kind of have to worry about stuff. After he plays rook b1 and we play this move, he has to think about things himself. Knight takes e4 is a move. Yeah, we got a nice bishop. Knight takes d7 is nice. Oh, that's actually a bit annoying. Knight takes d7. We take over here. He takes over here. We take back with the pawn. And I guess we do have f4 coming in, so we should be fine. Unless he plays f5 himself. We play c5, trying to break open this diagonal. If he takes, we're going to take with this check. And we have a very strong diagonal. Bishop's going to be on c5, c6 and c5. It's going to be amazing. And we can for sure try to work out some sort of attacks. So this would still work out for us. But anyways, this is what actually happened. He does find g4. I play bishop e4, which is the best move. Really, it's the only move, I would think. Apparently e6 is actually playable. I guess after f5, I can take on this, and then if he takes back, we take on e5. He takes over here. It's a check. And king h1. And his king is so open that there are chances of actually, like, I guess, fighting on. So that's interesting for sure. But I'd rather not sack that piece because we just have the ability to keep the piece. He plays bishop d3, which is a bit of a mistake. Over here, we played queen b6, which is a bit of a miss. Very interesting. Best move would have been taking. And I'm a bit confused. Why take? Why take? I would expect him to take with the queen. But if he takes with the queen, I guess we still play knight e4. Is this not just dropping a piece? It's not, because after queen takes, we have f6, forking these two pieces. And all of a sudden, we are just up material. That's just not true, though, because he does have takes over here. Queen takes, his bishop comes out. Oh, and then queen takes g4. These are all the moves you have to see to actually really justify playing bishop takes d3. If you take him back with a knight, this still doesn't really save him because of knight e4. And it's a nice square for the knight, I guess. If you just play bishop h4, we play knight b6, and I guess we're putting this knight over here too, and it looks nice. Knight b6. If he takes over here, it's a bit of a problem because then we're going to take back over here. His knight has to move back, and then we're going to win this pawn. And then we're also threatening to win this. So he does not want to do that. So I guess that knight just stays there. It's very strong. g5 is an idea, which is very cool. Just really pushing down the king side because that's where he has a lot of space. It would be very nice for him to play king h1, bring this rook over here, maybe a queen over here, another rook over here, and just push down. That would be his idea, really. But anyways, what actually happened in the game was I played queen b6, which is a bit of a miss, even though it's not really throwing the game. And, I mean, it still keeps the game on both sides. He plays this move, which is just a bit of a mistake. And I slightly missed the best idea. I should have taken over here. Or I should have taken his knight. Of course he can't take it this way. If he takes this way, then, yeah, I take with this bishop. And that's just how I'm up a pawn. If he takes over here, I'm just going to take back with this piece. And everything is fine. Takes over here, this, and yep, after all the captures, I'm going to be up a pawn. I can easily fortify this pawn with just rook e8. Rook a to e8 shows up right there if he plays rook f5. But the way we did it was still okay-ish. I took over here. He does this, and then I take with the knight. Or I take with the bishop, which was the best move, actually. And yeah, I mean, the knight is just so much stronger. So we do this, but I do this move, actually, which was a bit of a mistake. Should have taken over here first because it's with tempo. Second, the queen. This is not in danger again because of this pin, so the pawn cannot move, or else he's just giving up his king. Taking over here on e5 is just much better because his queen is forced to move. And after his queen moves, that's not a good move for his queen at all. Let's say he goes to g3. Can I take over here? I'd like to take over here. Right now, actually, 94 is just amazing because it's just more everything, more tempo. So maybe not that. Maybe instead of G3 goes to H3. In that case, apparently this is still the best move. But I like knight takes E, knight E takes G4 a little bit better just because it really shows what we were seeing. And yeah, we're just up pawns. The way we did it was we took this one first, but he just moved his king over. And F6 is the right move, we find it. But apparently our advantage is actually really gone. We had to take over here, and after this, I guess, yeah, putting it on E4 is really strong just because it attacks the bishop. And we just have really strong knights. They're ready to jump in at any moment. So after C1, because that's apparently the best move, he wouldn't want to go here because we have knight C4 attacking everything. So yeah, if he goes back to C1, we could probably still play knight C4. No, wants to play rook F E8, knight G6. Fun stuff. No, yeah, rook AE. There it is. Just putting it on the open file, and we just have complete domination because his bishop has to be back here. His knight is on E2. We're just looking much better. We played it like this, and it's okay, especially since he took over here. Did not need to do that. Apparently, the queen F5 was the best move. I would have taken over here. No, I wouldn't have. I would not have taken this pawn, this piece, of course. Queen takes G4, and we were a bit confused. Maybe Queen C7 was what we were thinking, but it becomes a bit drawish because actually Queen C7 just drops this. And Queen D8 keeps it hold of it just barely, but after Queen E6, and King is forced to move. It's a bit of a sad position because he's kind of dominating. Rook F7, really forcing a trade over here. After this, I'm wondering if we can play this move, but he doesn't need to take and give us the open file. He could also just play this. You're thinking about taking this knight. This doesn't work because after check, King G1, we take this. It's just much better for us because we are ready to hop in over here and win, especially if he just takes on B2. Otherwise, we're going to keep checking and winning pawns. So, not good for him. But he did not play that. We got lucky. He took over here, and I can just kind of consolidate, put a knight on E4, which is amazing, and he just drops a bishop. And after this, is kind of just over. I think after that, it really doesn't make any sense to continue reviewing because, yeah, it's just straight up winning. But going back to the very beginning, over here, Queen C7 was a bit of a mistake because honestly, yeah, the Queen didn't have any point in sitting over here because, think about it, the Queen only belongs on C7 when you're trying to make this battery onto the H2 pawn. There's already an F4 pawn up, so that's not happening, and it's very safe, right? Another thing is that like I never planned on taking on E5 myself, right? So why would my queen be on C7? Doesn't make any sense. It just belonged on B6 because it's hitting this weak pawn. It's hitting this, which could be a weakness in the future, especially since it's sort of isolated and that there's no E pawn, and he's not really playing C3 himself. It just belonged on B6. There was no reason to play Queen C7, even though this doesn't really throw away the game. And yeah, apparently this just works out for us because after all of this stuff, you just have to find this entire sequence. But that's a little hard to find. Of course, it takes with the pawn. I'm happy because isolated double pawns, so I'm sure we're winning somehow. Queen b6 actually just finds a win immediately, winning a pawn. And if he takes with the knight again, yeah, you kind of just put this over here, and it just looks amazing still. Very cool. Otherwise, though, there was a slight loss in over here because I need to take on this one first. This is actually a much bigger problem than this pawn, right? E5 pawn is giving him a lot of territory. Keeps this file closed for me, so I can't just put a rook on E8, which is where I'd love a rook, blasting straight down the center of the board. It could also become sort of like passed pawn in the future, especially if he keeps pushing and like for some reason I can't take, especially since I played F6, he could have just kept pushing. It could have been a very different game. But if I take over here, he just doesn't have any threats. That was just the better move. But anyways, after all of this stuff though, game kind of just like ends up very easy for me because he kind of just blunders a bishop and it works out. But that was the French defense. Exchange variation. It says knight variation because he started with knight f3, but really it's exchange variation because they trade stuff off. But I don't think there's anything else to go over for this game. But we'll go ahead and take those points with us. We're at 2045 now, which is actually really impressive. We're really getting up there. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, that should be it for this video. So I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.